This is the DJI SDR Transmission. It's a more budget-friendly, compact video transmission system that you can use to wirelessly monitor your production process. It's intended for small to medium-sized production crews, so we no longer have to pay professional prices for professional equipment, and I'm happy about that. I'm going to show you the main features, how it could benefit you, and we'll also look at exactly who this system is for and if it could help your workflow. Having a transmission system enables you to monitor your shots to check the framing and the composition, and more importantly, the action, what's going on in your frame in real time. You can also give other crew members a receiver and a monitor, and they'll be able to see a 1080p 60 frames per second video feed straight from the camera, and they'll also be able to monitor the focus pulling away from the camera if you've got a focus wheel and motor attached. Now this is so helpful in situations where the camera is mounted on a gimbal or a crane or even a drone, and other rigs where access is impossible, or even if you just need to avoid physically touching the lens so that you don't knock it. But it's not just for the big production crews, because I've actually found using a transmission system extremely helpful, especially when filming alone, because I can position myself in the frame where I need to be and make sure the composition, the exposure and the focus is spot on before I start filming. And it just means that I don't have to keep going back to the camera and filming little snippets to make sure everything's right. So it saves so much time as well, and frustration. And what's cool about this one is you don't even have to buy a monitor now, because you can connect it to your phone or tablet using either Wi-Fi or a USB cable. And with the new Ronin app, it acts as a monitor, and it has all the useful monitoring features that you'd see typically on a normal monitor. Things like zebras, false color, focus peaking, histogram and waveforms, and even LUT monitoring, which is extremely handy for checking exposure and your colours. It's even got LUT presets built in for you, so you don't have to download them, including ARRI log. But you can import your own if you want to. You can even record to your phone or tablet, which could come in handy for test shots and previews instead of using up valuable space on your SD card or SSD drives. Look at this, you can even use it to control the gimbal using virtual joystick like I'm doing now, or force mobile, so I can just move my phone around like that and the gimbal will mimic all the movements. So not only can you monitor your image remotely, but you can reframe now too, and that's so handy. Like for example, if I'm filming myself, instead of going over to the camera and then moving it all the time, I can just have this set up, have my phone here and just move it slightly to make sure I'm perfectly framed in the center or wherever I need to be. Or if you're working with others and you're the gimbal operator, you can give the receiver and the phone to somebody else who can then focus on framing up the shot while you concentrate on the camera movement itself and making sure you don't trip over. You can even use this as a voice communication system if you've got a headset. So this is the original DJI transmission system. That's the receiver. The transmitter's the same size, and this is the new version. Look at the difference in size and weight as well. But not only that, but the batteries for the older one are a lot bigger as well. I just love how compact and lightweight this is. It makes it easier to get set up. You can put it on smaller rigs if you need to without adding extra weight and bulk to your setup, so you can keep a little bit more discreet and lightweight if you're filming long days. Granted, it doesn't have the same amount of features that this one has and the same range, but this one's designed for the small to medium sized crew, and it's going to cater for the typical needs that you might need for this sort of thing. So if you don't need everything this one has to offer, then the SDR is the way to go. One of the gripes I had about this was the size and the weight and how you had to mount it to a camera rig. And I think they've done a great job with this one because it's so small and lightweight. You can actually mount it in more places. It comes with this little mount here, so you can put it on top of a camera cage or on the side nice and easily. I do still think they could have more options, like it'd be good if you could angle it so you could keep it flat rather than being up. But then again, you know, it's a transmission system, so maybe it's designed so that it's got the best chances of staying connected rather than it being on its side and blocking the signal. But because it connects to phones and tablets, there's a tablet holder here, which is really good, durable, strong. And then also the phone holder as well, which I really like because it's got the screw on there, it's got a cold shoe mount, and it just sits nicely in there. And also it's got this little bit on it where you can switch from horizontal to vertical nice and easily. Love that. If you do want to use it with a gimbal, as you can see, it attaches really easily with this mount. You just screw that on the underside and then you pop it underneath the gimbal there, slide it in, locks in place, and it adds barely any weight. Plus, you don't have to plug a battery in if you use it this way, because the gimbal itself can power the transmitter. So this is a game changer if you use a gimbal a lot with the transmission system and you want to keep the weight down. If you're using a gimbal all day, it's enough weight as it is already. So this is a much better solution in my opinion. The SDR transmission has an impressive range of up to 3 kilometers in control mode, 2 kilometers in broadcast mode, and 200 meters if you're using Wi-Fi. And personally, I feel like that's enough. It's a massive range, and this gives you a lot of freedom to move around without worrying about losing connection, no matter what type of production you're on. I'm making a right mess on my desk here. Everything was nice and neat when I started, now it's just all over the shop. So let's have a look at it. The design itself, I mean, like all DJI products, it's amazing. It feels well built, looks great, it looks smart. I like how you've got a blue one to identify the transmitter and the red little symbol there to identify the receivers. They actually kindly sent me the combo version, so that comes with the transmitter and a receiver, but you can buy them separately. So if you want to add multiple receivers, then you can just upgrade and get as many as you like. This is handy if you're in broadcast mode, in fact any mode. Control mode allows you to control the gimbal and the camera, and you can connect up to 2 receivers. But if you want more receivers, more people monitoring, then switch to broadcast mode and you can add unlimited receivers. So obviously it really does cater for different production sizes. Simple and easy and intuitive to use. Really simple to connect. It does it automatically if you're in control mode. And I love that it's got a physical on-off switch, because I don't like those buttons where you have to press and hold it for ages before it turns on and off. I like to just flick it on, nice and quick, done. And I know it's on or off as well. It's got a little touchscreen display, which again is really easy to use. You swipe up and down and across, navigate the menu system nice and easily. Everything's where you'd expect it to be. It's nice and clear what everything does. The antennas fold away nice and neatly. There's no need to twist anything around or anything. It's just where it needs to be. So when you're finished, you can pack it down. So it's streamlined, you can slot it into your bag, packs away nicely, and they're at the perfect position. When you're ready to link a device, you just press and hold the link button, which is again a physical button on the side of the unit. You've also got a headphone jack there, that's for the voice transmission. We've got a power delivery USB slot there, so if you want to power it using the gimbal or a V-mount battery, for example, you can do that. And then there's the USB connection, that's where you plug it into your phone or your tablet. And we've got HDMI out and in, so you can monitor using HDMI cable or SDI as well. So if you're on a higher budget production and you need that, it's got it as well. What more can you ask for, really? Then you've got thread underneath, and it takes NPF batteries. It does have a fan, but you can change the mode so you can keep it a little bit quieter if you need to. I've seen other wireless systems and they can be overly complex, especially for someone who's never used it before. So loads of different options, loads of different frequency bands and stuff like that you have to select, whereas the DJI ones are so easy to get up and running. If you've never used one before, you can literally just switch it on and figure it out yourself and get using it right away. It's got a low latency mode of 80 milliseconds. Now, I did notice that the latency was better when using a monitor over the phone. That could have something to do with the app, perhaps. I would like to see transmission systems have next to no latency whatsoever. That'd be really handy, but you can still get away with it. It's totally usable. I'm really impressed with this. I think DJI have really listened to the needs of the creators and created something that is going to be helpful to a variety of videographers and production crews. And it doesn't break the bank either. It's roughly, I mean, I don't like talking about prices on the channel because things change all the time. There's deals on here there depending on when you're watching this video. But for the combo, it's roughly a quarter of the price of this. Again, granted, it doesn't do the same amount of things as this one does, but if you're on a budget and you need something like this, it's a no-brainer. I think it's well worth the price, especially for a professional, well-built, reliable system. Would you use one of these? If so, let us know in the comments and let us know how you would use it and how it would benefit your video production workflow. If you want to know more about the original transmission system, there's a video that you can check out here. Highly recommend it. But in the meantime, have a great week and I'll see you in the next one.